It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for about an hour. Today is Friday, and on Fridays we wrap up the week by taking a look at what everybody else has been posting that has a focus on what the Second Amendment protects. So tonight, let's take a look. I don't think I have... No, I don't think I put anything over onto what do you call it? Substack yet. So let's take the description of this video and we'll take it over to, let's see, we'll take this over to Substack and paste it over there, and that should give us something we can take a look at a little bit easier on the screen here. Nobody wants to take a look at this puppy all night. Let's not forget that I've been told by highly paid people who work on the internet that shouldn't use a puppy in any kind of online stuff in 2023. So I want to apologize right now to anybody who's having to watch a puppy online. Must be horrible for you. And you know how professional shows would never have a puppy on them. All right, and we're going to then take this show and put it right at the front here. Let's see, I'm going to put it here, and then I can put these with a bullet points, as I call them. Yep. And now we can continue and publish. And we'll go back over here. And what is this? It's Instagram. We don't need that open. We will screen share. Let's bring in our friend Sharon, who will screen Sharon over here. There we go. See? And we can get rid of the puppy. Monitor the puppy underneath like this. So you can see whenever I pet the puppy, boop, the puppy on the nose, or throw his ears. You can see all that stuff happening down there. And what we're going to take a look at is our Substack. Substack is essentially our blog. So here you go. Take a look at that if you want. And this way, it's just a lot easier to see the thing for the screen sharing here. If we do it this way. All right, so again, sorry I did kind of tidied up the end there as we start up the show here. Thanks everybody who's joining us tonight live. And if you're joining us in the future, listen to this as a plain old video. We do this live. So I mentioned at the beginning of the thing, this is the Daily Gun Show. So we do this every weeknight. It's a gun show, so it's a show about guns, but it's really about the gun community, the industry, our whole thing. We do it weekly, every weeknight, and we do it at midnight so that we can have the time slot to ourselves. So that ideally, we'll stretch this out and be a multi-hour show. There's some scroll at the bottom of the screen right here. If you look at it, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see me pointing at the bottom of the screen. It says, our Patreons make it possible for us to do projects like this. Patreons are people that subscribe to what we do, people that essentially buy us a cup of coffee once a month, and then that is what we use to make our projects. That accumulates, gives us an opportunity to work on stuff like what we're doing right now. So thanks to those folks, and thanks to the people that do show up live. We do value the interactive nature of the internet. So Woods was the first one out here this evening. Thanks for jumping in. Domo out there this evening as well. Oh, we got a real classy audience tonight. We've got Worthwhile Fun joining us. Tim Allen is out there. And is that everybody? That's everybody. If you're out there and you didn't say nothing, then I don't know you're out there. So you can comment, be part of the show, or just sit there and watch. All right, so getting into it, I dropped a link. If you wanted a link to it, feel free. There's a lot of interesting stuff over at Substack. Got a couple of 3 or 4 different channels that I follow over there. And if I'm missing any, let me know. All right, so digging in, let's mention that this week let's commemorate the passing of Richard Hoffman from BWE Firearms, Uzi mechanic, full auto gunsmith, and internet friend to many. Had a lot of stuff happen. First off, thanks for being part of so many people's lives with your internet presence and with sharing your insight and your perspective with so many. Authenticity is one of those things that we don't get very often with mass media. We don't get it with produced content at all. And it does happen that with this interactive, with this the real life part of the internet. And Richard and his sharing of his experiences was an indication of that in a big way. Where you live in a time where people that have been online are online for the first time. The internet was just invented in the late 90s, really, and it became a thing in the early 2000s, and high-speed internet and telephones gave everyone the internet. And now we come to think of the internet as something that we are owed, something that we're accustomed to and that we are familiar with, when in reality, we are all doing this for the first time. This is all happening for the first time, and if the internet does stick around for a while, we're creating what will become traditions and trends. And we are now experiencing on this internet not just the occasion of some people passing, but we are experiencing together the loss that comes with people in the community passing. It's not the first and it won't be the last, but we'll start off the show with that acknowledgement of Richard Hoffman from BWE Firearms passed on February 13th after a lot of complications and sharing those with the internet. It's real. All right, I usually divide up the bullet points at the beginning for good and bad, and I didn't really put a gap in here today. I could. But the Department of Justice is following through on the bipartisan gun control that was passed last year as a compromise to being yelled at a bunch of times. The people who would typically be resistant to the just one more law will stop this noise weren't immune to it, and they gave in. And if you consider yourself a political person, then are you holding the people who caved? Are you holding their feet to the fire? Are you holding them responsible? Are there consequences for the action that they perpetrated against not just us, but the people who come after us? What we do to this country leaves an impression on it. And these people who are willing to do things permanently to stop bickering at the moment have no point, have no reason to be where they are. They have no justification for being where they are. So we have bipartisan gun control that came down from both parties last year, and it was hidden. It was there. It was called gun control for sure. But what it did was a bunch of noise, and nobody really read it. But it gave away many millions, trillions, really billions of dollars, I guess, billions of dollars in chunks, millions, hundreds of millions of dollar chunks to states that fall in line with essentially the anti-rights, anti-freedom, bigotry that the control the control groups demand, right? And those groups are run by a relatively few number of individuals. There's many groups that have lots of reach in different directions, but they all have the same marching orders, and those marching orders are control. And those marching orders are freedom from guns instead of freedom with guns. And the bipartisan gun control, part of the two phases of bipartisan gun control, first of it, one part of it was this: let's spend a ton of money that doesn't exist. Let's print money and then quote unquote spend it on the states, the 10 states that will jump in line to the anti-rights regime first. The first 10 states to jump on board get tons of money for that reason, to preach and to teach freedom from guns, that safety comes without guns, the absence of guns, rather than understanding guns are like a car or like a kitchen appliance or like a lawn tool, a necessary, dangerous item in our experience. And anyway, so now we're seeing the consequence of that. The Department of Justice giving out 231 million of those billions for the safety from guns campaigns. And you're going to see a bunch of people who didn't get mad at the time. Well, got mad at the time, but they get mad every week. They got mad just like they do every week at the time. And we saw the gun control get passed. And then everybody got mad again, and then more gun control got passed. We're not observers. We have an obligation to participate in what's happening. And, you know, there's all those ways to do it. The soapbox, the ballot box, and so forth. Well, these are these realms. So part of that is holding accountable those who jump ship, those who, again, are willing to sacrifice the future, security of the future, for a little peace and quiet of the barking and the complaining today. Worthwhile fun. Missouri's anti-red flag gun seizure act bill hearing I was going to testify was canceled, watching for it to be rescheduled. Thanks for bringing that up. That's one of those things that'll be done to wear out the humans, the individuals who show up for testimonials. So thank you very much for doing that and being willing to testify and have it canceled like this, and then let people know, because that's how they wear us out. As individuals, we find out ways that we can participate, and we do. And in the process, it's not like they're out to get us. Things can happen, right? It's not always like they don't have anything else better to do. But if that is the case, if they are just trying to wear us down, then again, you have to have the resolve to then, take that blow, take that black eye, and go back, or facilitate somebody else going back, or they win, right? So I appreciate you going and then letting people know so that we can all understand the real effort, the dedication that happens. I think my hot water over here is getting hot enough that I should have done this before the show, but I'm going to make some coffee over here. So I'm going to make some instant coffee. I have a little chocolate milk to put in there. I'm going to do that. And let's see. I think if I'm missing any comments, let me know. But I think we're going to do another. I think I'm going to have to do a commercial for something here that's long, because it's going to take me a minute to pour out some of that instant coffee. So why don't we do a quick commercial for the store again? Excuse me. I don't think this will. Oh, this one it's almost a minute. Give me a minute. I'll be right back.
Hey, did you know that you could help support our future projects and let everyone know you're a fan of what we do? Check out our print-on-demand store. We have a tab here on YouTube. When you click on it, you can choose from a bunch of different items. We have shirts and posters and coffee mugs. Click on the one you like. When you find the design you want to put on it, choose a color and a size if it's appropriate. And when you purchase these items, a portion goes to help fund our future projects. We really do appreciate your support. You get some cool stuff. When you get that stuff, post pictures here and on other platforms, and we'll hook you up next time you order from our Gear website store. Thank you for your support of gunwebsites.com.
for that. The puppy didn't care at all that I got up. All right, coming back to here, got the puppy monitor back on. All right. $231 million is $23 million to each of the 10 states. Is that just from what I'm saying, or is that how it breaks down? Withdrawal Fund is saying Missouri General Assembly skipped work to celebrate with the sports. Oh, did they win the sports game or whatever that was happening? I don't really pay attention. I know it happened in Arizona because people told me. Domo saying rest in peace. Thank you. Leave that up for a little bit. Some Allen's out there saying puppies are the best. Puppies are pretty good. Puppies are pretty good. I understand kittens. I can understand kittens, but I think puppies are pretty good. Everybody up is out there as well. Good afternoon. Good evening. All right, so getting back to the show, we've got Kansas Capitol demanding moms visited the Kansas Capitol. Rebecca Schmoy did a post about that on her Instagram. You've got the moms demanding in Minnesota. I was listening to Rob from Minnesota talk about some of the crazy new anti-gun stuff that's happening there. And, he's like, oh, yeah, and also Moms Demand is going to be doing their rally here. Oh, that's hot. So the moms are out there doing their thing. You can dismiss it, and you can, I'll take it apart. I'll take them apart because they're paid troops. They're exploited victims. They're exploited survivors, which is frustrating when someone is a survivor or a victim and they want to change either what happened or what the future might be for somebody else. But if they're not empowered, or if they don't see a way to proactively address that and only see the state as the creator of prohibitions against what might happen to someone, or the ultimate consequence for the bad person or the evildoer, it's frustrating. And of course, there's people that just want the easy answer and that don't understand. So they don't hate guns. They don't hate you. They just are willing to accept what they're told, and they don't look very far. So if they're not going to look very far, then a free country, they don't have to. There's no obligation. But in a free country where other people have free will, it is an obligation to those who have an opinion that isn't obvious or catered to. There's a certain obligation for us to, even if we are persecuted or even if it's not fair, to explain our position and at least to make it possible to be understood. But if we're going to be private and if we're going to be, evasive about what we got going on, then how can we expect anybody to understand and to leave us alone? So if you want people to leave us alone, try to give them something to be left alone about, and don't let the other side get you down or get on your case. So I put these in here not to complain that Moms Demand are doing their thing and not to mock them for doing their thing. It's a free fucking country. They should be doing exactly what they want. Now, if they're wrong and it's because of an unawareness, then again, that's on us. The DC Project, Educate Over Legislate, has a great motto, and that's definitely an instruction plan that's pretty easy to follow. Make people aware. So then we get the HF14 Firearms Registry in Minnesota. There's a lot of stuff. This was the registry that came up that they were fighting for, but now they got an even bigger package, I guess, that I think is in addition to this that's looming. Now, looming and what they'd like at a 1% chance of passing, or 5% or 4% chance of passing. are easily ignored or easily overlooked, or I guess ignored, dismissed. However, we're leaving money on the table. When they ask for ridiculous, silly, non-necessary restrictions, infringements, laughing at them and being offended is great and it feels good, but it doesn't stop them from doing it. What stops them from doing it is public acknowledgement and ridicule and public resentment of them ever bringing it up again. And you can't expect someone else to give a shit about your position. You have to explain your position. You have to make your position known. So you're not going to get a bunch of like, oh yeah, everybody should care about what we care about talk here. Let's talk about how we make others understand or allow others to understand. You can't make anybody do nothing, but you can allow them to understand our position. So normalize guns, have fun with them, be responsible with them, but share them, right? Value your voice, be part of this. This is how we change things. Tell you what, this is how everything got to where we are today, is through conversation and interaction. Liberty is individual freedom together. So practice liberty. It's not easy. We practice with our firearms. We practice with our techniques and our skills. Well, this is one of them. Chatting with others and figuring out how to explain this stuff to other people in a way that they understand it so they quit doing it. You just challenge them, they just get better at challenging you. They just have more interest in challenging you. All right, so getting on to some federal stuff. We've got a HR 715. I don't know if this is a new one or not, but it was getting yelled about this week by some of the talking heads, and that's HR 715, the Federal Gun Registry. Oh no! So another one with a something like 1 to 4% chance. Here's my chocolate milk coffee. Another one with like a 4% chance of winning. Do you get upset about that? Do you blow it off? Do you worry about the grip angle of your new bullpup 9mm? Or do you hold it against them? Like, what are you talking about? You don't want to get rid of all guns. Look what you put up as a bill last time and it failed. How if you need to waste everybody's money? Like, are we going to evolve the conversation so that they can't bring this stuff up? Or do we have to be content with watching people get offended every time they bring this stuff up? Nebraska, ever heard of it? I know, it's a panhandle state. So they bring it on themselves. If they wouldn't have put a panhandle on there, they'd probably have constitutional carry already. I'm just saying. But regardless, even though it's legal for states to have panhandles, and some of the, I call them the legacy states, can keep their panhandles instead of getting rid of them. Nebraska doesn't have constitutional carry yet. So they've got LB 77, where a bunch of people are attempting to make that a reality. They'd really, really like to do it before some of the other states that got constitutional carry on the agenda. Let's see what those states are. Louisiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. Louisiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, and Nebraska. That's 5 more states. You know how many that is? 30. Would it be cool to get to 30 this year? How many people are talking about getting to 30 this year? That's all I'm saying. 30 states. Montana governor got all mad about ATF, and that was in the news, but essentially saying that they have a rule that says in Montana that state resources can't be used to enforce national dumbass infringements like an ATF brace rule enforcement might ask for. I think it might have been struck down, but the part I saw said that he was saying no. DJ saying that in Nebraska he bets they would have liked to have had it passed in the last 3 years. Yeah, maybe. You know what I'm going to do? I thought about doing this. I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to jump over to the Instagrams. If you haven't checked it out, Instagrams is a social media platform. started out with Polaroid pictures where you would write a little message at the bottom of a Polaroid picture. So they made a platform where you send a picture and you can write something on it. The idea was supposed to be for travel. Turned out people just like sharing their pictures with each other. And it kind of turned into a picture sharing thing. I don't know if Tony's awake out there, but I figured I would send him a link if he wants to jump in. Tony's in Phoenix right now. So that's the Instagram, and I went to the messages part of it, and I sent Tony Simon a private message with a link to this show. Let's see. This Nebraska. Oh, man. You know what? Did they make a play on that? Because they make a lot of ammunition in Nebraska. So you could be doing something with that. More states should use the 10th Amendment to push back against the feds. Sometime come on and tell us about what you're talking about there. Because I'm not sure what all that's about. But I'm down for any kind of resistance or ways for people to add strategy to their mix. All right, so that's sort of the bullet points. Normally, in a week, I would have more time to have come up with those, or more stuff would have happened. This week, I just don't know if more stuff happened because I just didn't have a chance to check it out. So nobody listens to this show is the one and only place to get a summary for the week, but I'll give you whatever summary I can give you, depending on how busy I've been. So that's the bullet points for the week. This is the show that we're watching right now. Normally, I put the good stuff on the left and the bad stuff on the right as a quick guide for what the show's going to be about, or what's going on with the week. So there's 52 other ones. This will be one of the week ones. This is a story of Bass Reeves, who is the Long Ranger, if anybody didn't know that. And this is Rhonda Mary's been doing these shorts, which are 1 minute or less YouTube productions or presentations that people now create specifically as shorts. A lot of times they were clips of longer videos, but here you can see an example, an excellent example. Actually, Rhonda does a great job of utilizing social platforms for not just storytelling, but getting information across in a contemporary way, I guess you'd say, like in a way that you don't realize you're getting learned. Oh, I guess I need to put the audio on. Can you hear this?
Some say Bass Reeves fled after killing his enslaver and lived among the natives until emancipation made him a free man. In 1875, he became the first Black U.S. Deputy Marshal west of the Mississippi River. He was known for bringing in some of the most dangerous men, but he was never wounded. He was a marksman with his revolver and rifle, and also developed superior detective skills. He was also known for his very distinctive and mysterious mustache, along with wearing different disguises that he would have on while issuing warrants. He was described as an exemplary lawman and an honest shooter. He never drew his weapon unless he absolutely had to. Some say that the character, the Lone Ranger, is loosely based on the life of Bass Reeves. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more than 100% known that it's 100% based off of Bass Reeves. But, except for the whole Tonto part. But Long Ranger's cool, Bass Reeves is cool, Rhonda Mary's cool, so that worked out pretty good. Let's see, so then we've got a consistent weekly project. The lead off of our show each week is to thank Brooke Cheney, who offers, again, a project each Saturday called Suicide Prevention Saturday, which is a look at suicide prevention, mental health awareness, understanding that 2 out of every 3 deaths from a firearm are suicide. So everything that we were just talking about, the antis, the anti-freedom bigots who would use firearms as a way to divide the United States population and a way to remove individual freedom from the individual through misguided or misunderstood or misrepresented data. Well, this is the data we're talking about. The fact that people who decide to end their lives with suicide with a firearm are responsible for 2 out of every 3 deaths. So when they talk about 30,000 deaths with a gun, 20,000 of those 30,000 are suicide. The rest of them are 19, 17, kids, 17-year-old kids, gang violence and cartel influence. One of the largest multinational crime syndicates is across the border from us. We're heavily involved with that. And even with that influence out there, the antis aren't able to make way, but they are doing it on the backs of individuals who are going through mental health crisis and have chosen at the last moment something that was permanent. If they used a firearm, that's being used against us. Brooke talks about how to prevent that whole situation in the first place, how to break that cycle through mental health awareness. Having a better conversation with people on our side saves lives, gives people opportunities and options when they're in times of stress. You don't reach people when they're in times of stress. You reach people when they're having a normal day, so that when they're in times of stress, they know what options are available to them. Having conversations on a weekly basis, Brooke is able to give people information and more ability to have more and more effective and better conversations with both gun owners and antis, the anti-rights bigots who would use the deaths from suicide to suggest that gun owners and our property is somehow the real fall guy, the real issue here. It's lazy and it's wrong. And it's not because they hate guns or gun owners or they love suicide. It's because they're given poor information, either intentionally or accidentally. And awareness is what solves that. And Brooke Cheney's consistent every Saturday, brief, half an hour or less project is a massive effort to end that. We've got the video from Crump about Hoffman. The Liberal Gun Club had a booth at SHOT Show, and this is a picture of them, the people that attended SHOT Show from the Liberal Gun Club, standing in their booth. So you can see it says Liberal really big. It's got a bunch of rainbow stuff going on, and they had a big unicorn banner that said unicorns really do exist. They were downstairs they were really close to the Gun Owners of America, from what I understand, but I never found Gun Owners of America. They were downstairs, though, amongst all the smaller new companies and smaller companies that have more condensed booths downstairs. So their experience at SHOT Show was unique. It's their first year there. They paid a lot of money for the booth, like everybody does. So this after action show that they did was interesting for me because I like watching stuff about SHOT Show. But if you're interested about the puppy alert, puppy's freaking out. Puppy is freaking out. What's happening? So he's going back to sleep. He just had to get up and gag, I guess, and cough or something. Puppies do that. It's okay. All right, going back to the Second Amendment stuff over here. Again, you should never have puppies on a show. There's no excuse for having puppies on a show about guns. I've been lectured by people that make at least a factor at this point of almost 8 times more than me that I shouldn't have puppies on my show. All right, so this was a great conversation to hear the Liberal Gun Club talk about their experience at the show with their club. So they went live on Zoom, of course, to the Liberal Gun Club. And a bunch of anonymous people were in there listening to their Zoom conversation, and then they posted a recording of that Zoom conversation. So it's them kind of reporting back to their own club what it was like at SHOT Show and the experiences they had. I think it's definitely worth checking out, again, if you're interested in SHOT Show or if you're interested in their experience, period. And both sides, it's pretty interesting. I'm hoping to have a couple of the people in the booth on this show to talk about their experience as liberals at a SHOT Show and the experience they had as individuals with the different individuals coming by the booth, because it sounded like from talking to them that was varied and interesting. It wasn't any one way, and it wasn't, you know, in one direction or another. They had a little, like a kind of variety of different experiences. And I didn't expect to hear that. So looking forward to having that conversation. I don't know if that'll be soon or not. We'll find out. So 2A Cops is a channel that's two police officers who retired from California, different departments, but in different places in California. But they both happen to retire after many decades on the force, full retirements, I think. I think they both went to Idaho and they started this channel. And they I wonder what Woods is talking to. They started this channel. They started it during, oh man, when did they start it? I forget when they started it, in reaction to something, some issue of the day. And they ended up with kind of an interesting channel, but it wasn't going anywhere. And they use it occasionally, but they don't post on a regular basis or very consistently at all, or very regularly at all even. And so the channel just sort of sat there. Well, I guess, oh, thanks, now I get you. I guess what happened is, in the meantime, while they were kind of just in, I don't want to say hibernation, they just weren't doing anything. They were living their lives and doing work or whatever. While they were doing that stuff, somebody came in to harass them and started putting in there, I forget what they said, but let's say, you know, F the police. Back when we were kids, you would run up and go F the police if you were hardcore and you wanted to sing or yell a song lyric at them. So people are coming into their YouTube and typing in FTP, let's say. I forget what they're saying. GTFO or something, right? They're coming in and saying some little snide comment and then running off. Well, it turned their channel viral. Now their channel is huge. And now instead of getting a couple of hundred views on a video, they get tens of thousands of views on each video. So it's a great phenomenon to observe, to have been a part of, because it happened here in the last year or 6 months or something. So if you've been watching this show, you'll hear me talk about their channel whenever they post a video, which is something like every 3 to 6 months or something. They don't post that often. But to watch a channel that was just sort of doing their thing with a reason, with an intent, and now they're getting huge because of it, is super neat. I think they're making money now. So all these people came in to yell at the cops who are doing videos, not really caring one way or the other. Obviously, but their topics were just the fact that they were police, and ended up paying them big time. I don't know, big time, but at least paying them real money. It's pretty funny. I don't know why I put this Ask Gun Questions thing in the middle of nowhere. Usually I put our stuff at the end. You got Sisters in Arms. I don't know, Carrie's not out there. Carrie Ann is not out there now, but Carrie Ann and Renee do a TV show. And actually, I don't know if it's in Massachusetts. I think it's in Massachusetts. They do a TV show. They have Second Amendment advocates on, and this is where they had dude from GOAL, the Massachusetts state level organization. F12 means police. Kids are funny. It's probably some rap song told them that. So now you get so Sisters in Arms, great channel, great project. And this is two representatives from the DC project that are out there educating, normalizing firearms, changing the face of firearms owners, and reaching more people in interesting ways. So cool project. Glad to see them doing their thing. We've got Clover, who's in the midst of his 22 episode interview season. So he does 2 seasons each year. He got all set up to do 22 of these. I might have to do that. Now that I'm demonetized, I might have to kind of adjust. I might use a Clover model for this, but starting off his interviews, 22 is a lot, and he does that in half a year. So you're going to see these during the day, during the afternoons. So I missed a couple of the daytime ones. Oh, one item 12. Would they be really paying attention to such an old TV show? All right, well. If somebody at home is listening to this in the future as a video and saying, oh, I know why the kids say 1, 2, or maybe they say 12, I don't know. Anyhow, so Clover had Jake on, and they had a conversation about, the stuff that Jake is doing and Walk the Talk America. Again, mental health awareness, suicide prevention. In this case, bridging a gap between the industry and the medical community, the doctors and the therapists who would address people who have mental health issues. And Walk the Talk America is an organization that started a few years back now to make inroads with the firearms industry, as far as they've had some success with putting some messaging on the ammunition boxes, including some pamphlets and some awareness material in with different manufacturers' packaging. So again, to normalize mental health awareness, to normalize talking to people about your mental health the same way you would about a broken arm or a strained wrist or something. Hey, I broke my finger. How do I pull the trigger? Hey, I'm not feeling great. What can I do with my guns? That kind of thing. And then it turned out that Walk the Talk America also learned and has created some inroads, productive inroads with the medical community, in the regard that the medical community will have a specialized group for family care. They'll have a specialized group for people in the military. They'll have a specialization in medicine for people who, have an outdoor lifestyle or have a specific diet or something. So the medical community will be aware of these lifestyle situations. But with firearms, the medical community often looks at it as just a negative thing, and they aren't paying attention. Oh, Skidmark just threw $5 in Great Britain units at us. Thank you for the digital Great Britain money. Appreciate it. It'll definitely go towards the robot that we're working on, and that's a reminder for me to talk about my robot project. So Jake turned out that he was able to create a, I forget what the term is, but a up training that the medical community can do to understand gun owners' terminology and understand the concerns that a gun owner might have when seeking medical attention, specifically for mental health, and just seeking out doctors and healthcare in general. So Walk the Talk America is doing great efforts on both sides, both in the firearms industry and in the medical community. But then I guess in a third way, just informing the activists and those that are interested in the community that are paying attention to this, by alerting us to their successes. They're also inspiring and letting people know about another avenue that we're using to, again, normalize firearms and to breach the concept of normalizing mental health awareness. If you sprain your arm, no one expects you to lift anything. If you break your leg, no one expects you to win a foot race. But if you're going through stress, we tell you to shut up and keep that to yourself, which is ridiculous. We don't need to do that. If it's a cultural thing, we can change our cultural things. And we're able to do that. And people that are smart about it don't just play victim or fall victim to processes or to situations, right? We can correct that. When we correct that as a community, as a gun owning community, we will be leading the way for other communities to realize that they have the ability to normalize mental health awareness and change their communities in a positive way as well. In a lot of ways, gun owners lead the way and stuff like that. So speaking of leading the way, Cape Gun Works, a gun shop in Massachusetts, does a lot of cool things. They do a radio show. They've got a food truck. They do ammo delivery for free. And they also have a This Old Gun series with Russ, who shows off and kind of features a different old, usually, firearm each week. I don't post it every week, but when it's an interesting gun, I do. So it gives me an excuse to mention the project that they're running. Also, Cape Gun Works, it's a cool company, and whatever the gun is. And this week it's a Mosin. It's interesting to watch people shoot Mosins and shoot them like with respect, I guess, because we never respected Mosins out here, and I've never shot them with respect. So interesting. And Mosins are pretty neat, and they're getting to be expensive. Mosins are almost unique in the way that they were so looked down on for so many years by so many people, and that has changed. And I'm sure it's happened with other guns. I know it's happened with other guns. I just haven't been part of that phenomenon with other guns. I've been part of the aftermath, like lever actions and Civil War guns and Revolutionary War guns. All were interesting and then lost their favor, lost interest in the vast, the big group. So I was around for the no one caring about the Mosins in mass. And then all of a sudden people starting to care about them. Garbage rods. Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot worse than garbage rods. There's 545. Good evening. R4, Mississippi Thunder's out there as well. I don't know if I'm missing anybody. Did I say DJ's out there? So again, thanks for everybody joining us live. Feel free to use the interactive nature of the internet here. Try not to get too distracted by the comments, but I also like to address them as they're coming in live. Give people that are listening to this thing in the future, it's just a plain old video, some reason to show up on midnight and be part of the show. Will the world be different when I get this thing figured out and I can go live every single weeknight and I get old going live talking about Second Amendment, guns, and then the history of firearms every day, every night, whatever you want to call it, overnight? That'll normalize guns. All you got to do is become a Patreon. If we had 1,000 Patreons dropping $5 on me, I'm done. I could do that. I'll be doing that every single night. We will normalize the hell out of guns. All right. Till then, let's talk about that robot. Let's take a second and show this commercial for the robot again. Get y'all warmed up or buttered up about it, and then we'll talk about some money. So everybody's seen Terminator before. We all know what we're talking about here. So we know those scenes where the Terminator robots in the future run around killing everybody, and the puppies of the future will bark and tell us when the robots are coming. So these little puppies are our radar alert systems. In that future, those robots are out there just slaughtering human beings because they got nothing else to do and nobody stopped them. But how do you stop the robots? Education over robot wars. You own the robots before they get a chance to take over, and you harness them to make things like patches. So if you want to stop a robot apocalypse, it's $50. We need 140 people with $50. We buy this robot. We teach the robot how to make patches for the Second Amendment. And then that robot will teach other robots not to kill humans, but instead to make patches for humans and maybe hats and occasionally a shirt or something, but to do good for humans. And then once we realize that they'll have more fun helping humans, we will have single-handedly, the people who participate in this project can comfortably know that they have ended a potential probably an eventual robot apocalypse. So in order to save the future, consider jumping in over to our Patreon thing. Here, let me go grab the link, or my Indiegogo thing, I guess. Let me go grab the link to that. And we'll encourage you to jump on board. Like I say, we need 150 people to participate, and then it's a done deal. What happens is I go over to California. I ask Alan Anchor to show me how to work their robot for a few days. They show me how to work it. As soon as they're not looking, me and the puppies take it all apart. We put it in the van and we hork out of there. If that happens and they don't even get the money, I'll return all the money. If I can hork it off of them, screw them. I'll give you all the money back. But if they make me pay them, I'll pay them. I'll give them the money for it. Then I'm going to take that robot back here to Arizona, set it all back up again for good, and then start making patches. So we need 140 people. We're up to 22. We hit the 1,000 mark the other day. We're rolling past it. We're past up to 16% of the project. We're down to 10 days left. So this is the time to spread it around. If you know people who might be interested in a robot-free future, who might be interested in a future without a robot apocalypse, let them know about the project. 120 more people, and we're making patches, and we're solving the future robot apocalypse problems. So thanks to everybody who's helping out with that. Whenever we can, whenever I see somebody who is posting it somewhere, I try to say thanks on here. So if you see someone who is posting about the project that I'm missing, let me know, because this is Indiegogo is a big platform. And if we can point from Indiegogo to your project out there, I'm happy to do it. It's a way to say thanks for helping spread the word about our project. And if we can, use our project to link back, that's what it's all about. Additionally, you'll see here that there's a dashboard and there's all this stuff. If you're somebody who's interested in creating a crowdfunding project and you're not sure how to do it, this is our 37th project. If you want to see how all these graphs and how these charts and stuff work and what all these numbers mean and how to figure it all out, this robot doesn't cost $7,000. So we're going to be buying the robot for something less than $7,000, but we need to get to California to steal it and to learn how to work it. So there's some gas money in there. There's also taxes. That's the big thing, is taxes. So if you're a Second Amendment activist, if you're just some person walking by, go pay me. You can buy some consulting off of me. But if you're a Second Amendment activist and you're hoping that a crowdfunding project might be a way that you can fund your activity, then let's talk. That's what I'm here for. That's why I have Patreon, so that I can offer that consulting. My 20-something years on the internet and my 7 or something years full-time activism for Second Amendment stuff, I can offer that to you if you're interested. And one of the ways I can do that is to show you what it's like on our 37th project here, to see how you set these things up, how you run them, and how it's already successful. This project is successful to the fact, like you can see down here, there's some goals. We will get a replacement for our little robot at this point and a run of patches. So there's everybody who's participating at this point is getting one of the new puppy patches when they're made. Everybody who's participating at this point will get a custom made patch, because I'm already going to be able to replace the old sewing machine. So we've already achieved a sewing machine in this project. The next step would be to buy the big one off of Alan Anchor. But either way, we're getting custom patches. We're back in the custom patch game. We'll do some more videos on it, but some of the littler stuff that we've done would be like kind of small color stuff like this. When I was prototyping a patch that eventually turned into this, so we can prototype over there with the small machine. And this is what we can already afford to buy one of these small machines. But we can prototype. That's handy. But the other thing is the custom stuff. So we did for the old pup, Oro, did some custom stuff. prototyped some stuff for other people out there. Being able to do things like little dingleberries hanging off with the tongue like that is fun, because a lot of times patch places, they want to charge you for stuff like that, or they don't even want to fiddle with it. And then doing custom one-off stuff like this is a lot of fun. And the better the machine, the more detail we can get and stuff like this. Now, this particular one took forever, because first you got to lay down, let's say, I don't remember anymore, but let's say green, probably yellow, and then a little squish of yellow up here, some yellow down here, and then some green probably, and then black, and then white, and then gray. Each one of those was changing colors and stuff, and it just takes forever. So you can only get a couple of these patches made in a day, right? And then you cut them out and make them into patches. This machine from Allen Anchor, their fancy 15 color giant robot over here, they can pop these things out way faster and way different scale. So that's what we're looking forward to being able to bring to the mix. We're not necessarily in the patch business, but we're certainly in the business of offering resources to valid Second Amendment activists out there. So buying us this robot is really buying the community a robot. And we're going to be happy to be able to accommodate the community with it. And we get to buy it off of our friends at Allen Anchor, who could use the money. So it's a win-win for the community if you're able to participate. Thanks. And if you don't have $50 or you're not interested in throwing $50 at this kind of project, we would definitely appreciate. Please share the project. You might share it with somebody who shares it with somebody who brings 3 or 4 people in. And then you don't have to even care about the project, but you can still help it succeed. So if you're able and willing, please share it around. We've got 10 more days to find about 120 more people on this planet that want to see this project happen. All right, let's see. If I twerk out of there without paying, please film that. I'll try. I'll give the puppy some kind of a helmet cam. All right, so digging in again to Chris from the 740 has a chat on Fridays. What am I saying? On Wednesday evenings. This was number 52. Brings on a panel. They talk about different things that they're into, shooting sports, going to events. Excuse me. This one's when it was with Georgia Shooting Connection. I didn't see it, but I like to post his show. It's keeping the community together. Not very many people take for granted, I think. Not too many people realize the importance of keeping a community together when it's not necessary, when it's not important, and when it's not easy. But anybody can keep a community together when everybody is coming together to find out what's up. When there's a stressor, when there's a pressure on the community and the community needs to gather, anybody can be the person who gathers the community together. And often the people who do that are the people that are used to having a big audience, but they're useless. They don't know what to do, and they just stand there and they sell a lot of t-shirts, but they don't get anything accomplished. So the people that keep the community going with constant and consistent opportunity for conversation, that's how authentic community knows where to get back together and where to get the real info. I can't tell you how valuable that is. So to see people like Roll Call, which just said roll call, Hillbilly is starting to do it. People like G23, people like Gizzard, Chris, of course, Knives and Pink, who started it all. People like Matt, I guess technically, even though he just complains about the news all the time. But, the people that bring people together for authentic conversations that are just shooting the shit a lot of times is how you have the powerful communities of people, of activists that are able to accomplish so much. And there's lots of them out there. I don't go to every single chat. People like DJ go to a lot more of them than I do. But I value those folks. And Chris is one that I've seen, just really doing a great job of it. So thanks to him and the others that are out there doing the same. All right, so John Lott from the Crime Prevention Resource Center, I guess, Crime Prevention Resource Center. offers. I gotta drink some coffee. Hold on, I'm sick of clearing my throat here. So we're gonna have another commercial. What should we have a commercial for? Oh, I know what for. A sewing machine robot. Puppy doesn't ever get a clogged throat or whatever I got going on here. I think it's back to normal. Hold on. I knew I shouldn't have ate a phlegm sandwich with a side of phlegm earlier today. All right, so we got John Lott from the from the Crime Prevention Resource Center creates resources that are used by authors and representatives and folks who are providing testimony to government committees or whatever. They provide data and they archive resources. He goes and he's an expert witness, he testifies. One of the things that they do with their YouTube channel is cut out moments out of mass media, usually television shows, fiction, or sometimes news though, but fiction usually where they'll exaggerate or just completely misrepresent firearms use. And in this case, the choices criminals make about guns. And there was a time when if you would have made a piece of a television show, whatever that's called, like a piece of media, like a television show or a radio show, where the bad guy came in to rob a soda shop or a hot dog stand with a machine gun, you'd been laughed at because didn't make sense and it was unreasonable. That maybe in a bank robbery or some kind of big heist movie, you might see something like that, but in a small situation, that would be unrealistic. Well, they're using media, television shows, and these fiction projects to move the Overton window. And one of the ways they do that is to suggest a normalization of machine gun use, which doesn't exist. So what John Lott does in the Crime Prevention Research Center does is post these examples, these exaggerated, just extreme examples of criminals with unrealistic firepower. One, the guns don't work the way they do in the movies. It's like when a car just explodes. We all know that cars do not explode ever. Like, that doesn't happen. Cars don't explode unless you light them on fire and explode them with a lot of technical stuff. Like, the car just doesn't explode no matter what. But in movies, cars explode constantly, and we can rationalize the difference there. But with guns, people don't have that ability. They see a popcorn thing explode in a microwave, and do they really think microwaves explode when you put a thing of popcorn in there? But they somehow are able to have that gap with firearms. And again, it goes back to education. If you're not aware of what a firearm can really do, then these extraordinarily exaggerated examples don't seem exaggerated to you. So the John Lott and the Crime Prevention Research Center are doing a service, I think, to note these and to pin them out. They're like 6 seconds long, 16 seconds long. So they're definitely just the examples, probably using these in court, probably using these to show the intentional misrepresentation of firearms, because it's not unintentional at this point. We know that the media as a whole will spend more time and money, will devote more of their schedule, the scheduled time that they have in front of their viewers, with any kind of spree killer with a firearm than they will for the coverage of all wars, their coverage of presidential elections, and their coverage of the Super Bowl. So we know that there's a deliberate effort to create misunderstanding, and this is a effort to document that intentional effort. So I like to take a second and thank him for doing that, and to let people know that it's out there. If someone suggests to you, oh, there's not an effort to normalize a misunderstanding about firearms, then you can literally show them a group of, a playlist of 6-second videos that illustrate the time and date and the television show and the network where they intentionally suggest that machine guns are used to rob hot dog stands, for lack of a better word. Another project that both normalizes guns, keeps the community together, and entertains folks who are awake at the time of the overnight, the time of night that everyone else takes for granted. The time when y'all are at work, when y'all are resetting the planet, when things are getting cleaned and built and delivered, all the stuff that happens magically to the daytime people who don't think that anybody's awake at night. They're asleep, so everyone must be asleep, right? So there's a show for those of us who are up overnight, and that's called The Overnight. It's from Foss and Barron, and they had another one this week. Now, over the weekend, they also do an overnight show on the weekends. And, well, actually, I guess that's what we're talking about. The overnight happened on Saturday, but then they also do the mouse party every Wednesday. So now I've got it down. So we had a very special week where we had both of them. Now this week there won't be an overnight, but next week there will be. So you can rest assured that you'll have another overnight every other week. Yankee has been trying to raise funds for the shelter where he gets his puppies at. He doesn't get his puppies on the streets like I do. He gets his from a fancy shelter that needs money. So he raises funds for him every year. And I just got our magnet from him, and I guess I filmed and opened the box. I didn't know what it was, so I filmed it, and it turned out to be the magnet. So I thought that ended, but I guess it didn't end. Let's see, we got roll call with Rant and Raves. His Wednesday evening show hit episode 200. Now he had planned to end the whole series at episode 200, go out on a bang, so to speak. However, it's called Roll Call 219, so he's decided to go out to episode 219 before he ends the series. So it's cool still to see someone with a show hit the 200 episode mark. It's not easy to do 200 of anything, let alone host a conversation with a bunch of people. So that's essentially 4 years worth of keeping a community together, not with the intention to sell them anything, not with the intention to persuade them to do something or to, align themselves with some agenda or nothing, but just to have a conversation and just to be an extension. In my mind, it's an extension of a gathering at a gun show. That's what it seems like to me. A lot of these live conversations, I mean, obviously they're a bit different because everybody's at home doing whatever they do. And most of these evening conversations are people at the end of their daytime workday or getting ready for their overnight shifts. And that's that time when those two crews get to, have a chance to overlap, and or those people with those kind of lifestyles have a chance to overlap. And that's probably why primetime has been so popular throughout the years. And those primetime shows end up being casual, end up being often just entertaining, but when necessary, they become the gathering place, the taverns of the old days. And we don't have taverns. Not everybody drinks anymore. So gun shows and gun shops become that place where people can gather. And just like there might be a couple of 3 or 4 or 5 gun shops in your town, one of them might be the hunting one. One of them might be the one that you go to for CCW. And one of them might be the one you go to get bulk ammo. you know which one you're going to go to if you need to chat with friends about what's happening at the range, or if you need to chat with them about what's happening at the state capitol, or if you need to chat with them with what's happening with the national assault weapons ban. And if you don't know which shop to go chat with, that's a challenge. Go figure it out. And if there's not a shop in your town that is one that fills one of those roles, you have the ability to change that. You can have influence and make that a possibility. But until then, you can definitely go online and find a group of people who have similar interests and a similar perspective on things to have that conversation and that find that online. And these live conversations is where that happens. So thanks again to all the people that do this, but in this case, roll call for hitting the 200 mark. I don't think he stays up too much to watch this when he's a daytime person, does his daytime stuff. Let's see. So California has all kinds of issues going on. Somewhere in the middle of last year, I discovered the gun owners, the San Diego gun owners, which SDGO is an organization, a county level organization in California. Well, they also host a radio show called Gun Owners Radio each Sunday afternoon. And while they broadcast live, they also stream the broadcast on YouTube. So we've been watching that for a while and paying attention. We've had Michael Schwartz, the host of that show and the president of San Diego Gun Owners. We've had him on this show to chat. They do an interesting project called Tabletops, where they set up a couple of tables like you'd have at a garage sale or at a flea market or at a gun show. A couple of portable tables. They put a tablecloth over them and set up some banners. You can see them right here. I guess I could just scroll up. They put up a pop-up shade thing because it's California, and then stand out in front of different places, different businesses, to gather new members, to inform, and to have conversations. Like boots on the ground, that grassroots stuff that we don't get enough of. And it's working well for them. So they also set up at gun shows, the same way that organizations like this would set up something similar like this at a gun show to find new members and to help get the word out about the things that they're aware of and that they're participating in. But then they set up these tabletops at gun shops. I think that's such a cool thing, and they've got it down to being a almost like a franchise thing at this point, so they can bring new people on and do it at multiple locations simultaneously. So there's going to be one this weekend at Brass and Bass, which I don't like the name of, in Murrieta, California, and I also don't like the name of Murrieta. So California is going to do what they want, and then nobody asked me about either one of those names. However, go check them out if you're in Murrieta, California. So we're getting into the radio shows, I guess. Each week I listen to at least 4 live radio shows. The next one we're going to talk about is Michael Cargill from a gun shop in Texas, in Austin, Texas, called Central Texas Gun Works. And Michael owns the shop, and he hosts a radio show on Sundays. It's just before the last one we talked about. So it's on Sunday afternoons, and it's called Come and Talk It. We've been listening to that show for a long time. I can't recommend it enough. It's a real show, and here's how you can tell it's real. Michael Cargill, you may understand or might have heard the name recently at a national level because it made national news when Michael sued the state of Texas over the bump stocks, and his Fifth Circuit Court decision, which had to be brought up to all of the justices on the Fifth Circuit Court because the 3 justices that first saw his case dismissed it. He challenged it to bring all the justices on, and when they all came on, all but those same 3 said that the bump stock rule was unjust, that the ATF had no jurisdiction in doing what they did, and essentially most people think it's either going to go to the Supreme Court or the other cases will be struck down. based on this. So Michael Cargill has recently become nationally recognized for that, and he's done some other things in the past, and then he has a great radio show. They talk about interesting things. Last year, while he still had this case in process, but before there was any conclusion and he was nationally famous from it, he was bringing people on when they were having the conversations about Texas constitutional carry. And in Texas, that's been something that's been going on for a long time, and there's been a lot of debate, a lot of back and forth, because there's time in Texas. Texas only has state legislature every other year, so things happen slowly and over time in Texas. So the debate over constitutional carry has been going on since at least 2012, when Arizona became the third state with constitutional carry, technically the second state with constitutional carry after Alaska, because Vermont never really had anything like that. But after Arizona became the third state, actually I should say in 2010, to have constitutional carry, and 23 other states followed, Texas has been sitting there sucking their thumb about it until just last year, or whenever it was. And so Texas is used to having long, drawn out focus on Second Amendment issues. So the Come and Talk It show has been on our radar for a long time. Anyhow, so it's a great show to listen to, and it's they do stream it live on YouTube, so you can watch it on YouTube, and they pay attention to the comments, but they don't really interact with the comments. Then you've got Cape Gunworks does rapid fire radio. Now they do two shows. They do a Tuesday show, the 2A Tuesday on Grace Curley, and then they do a long format 2-hour show on Wednesdays. They record their show. They have the most interaction with the YouTube live streaming audience, so it's a lot of fun to participate in. This week they had John Green on from the Gun Owners Action League, the state level organization for Massachusetts, and talked a bunch about the situation there and the plight of state level organizations. And although they have a lot of restrictions and not a lot of bright possibilities because of the way that the political landscape is, they still are more than optimistic. They're still aware that there's a fight to be done, and they're fighting it. So it's cool to listen to. And Toby does a great job of hosting the Rapid Fire Radio show, so it's just a lot of fun to listen to. He keeps it both fast-paced, and like this week, he had some weird comments, and I'm always amazed how well Toby's able to deal with the little things that a lot of times will not just be annoying to content creators, but will eventually remove content creators from putting in any effort. There's little stuff that I don't want to get into that'll just happen. It's like the pebbles in the shoes. There's things that'll happen when you're streaming live. There's things that'll happen when you're dealing with all the technical and all the social and all the terms of service stuff that'll happen with a channel. And it can just be too much. It can be so much little pesky garbage that it's just not worth it. And I wouldn't be promoting any of these shows if they weren't in it for real values, if they weren't in it in spite of all the other stuff. So it's just cool to see channels that are almost taking the negative stuff in stride and just moving on. Really cool to see. So it looks like Snob and Gizzard are over here, and Hillbilly, and maybe everybody got out of Gizzard's after chat or something. Welcome. Let's see. I don't know where I'm getting all this phlegm from. I haven't been eating good this last week, so it's probably all the cheese I've been eating. Let's see. Next up, we get Gun Owners Radio had a conversation with John Lott, and man, it's interesting. We live in interesting times. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You've got as many people playing the Sky is Falling game still because they profit off of that and they don't know anything else to do. I don't scorn people who are just idiots, like if that's all they know, that's all they know. It's not like they're trying to keep everybody in the dark. It's just, they only know how to use a flashlight, then they need the dark. So you know, that's not a negative. They're not trying to keep everybody in the dark. They just don't know how to lead people into the light. Maybe that's the way to say it. So while there's a lot of that going on, and I ignore all, allude to it, nothing you've ever seen me talk about is any of that stuff. Then you've got Gun Owners Radio, which is the opposite of that. The people that are focusing on the next, focusing on the path to different, right? Not always the path to the perfect place, but a path to not be here. And when you get enough people leaving here, you get to start seeing where's the best directions to go in. Okay, everybody's leaving. What's the best exit to leave from? And that's what's awesome about some of the projects we're talking about on this show. So this was this conversation with John Lott with the Gun Owners Radio about politicians being either not aware of the trends in perception of gun control or the appreciation for the gun control or the support for gun control. I don't know what words to actually use there, but there's a conversation that's been going on, and it's getting a little bit louder, that the antis are done, that they're over, that they're about to give up. And it's an interesting place to be. We haven't been in a place where that's been a conversation to have in a long, long time. And when it happened last, people weren't involved in the conversation. People were observing the conversations, and there was no participation in it. Now it's the opposite. Now there is only participation, and people need to realize that what you're observing is like, that is the existence. You're not observing other people doing stuff. Your participation is the stuff. And as we are all figuring that out and whatnot, it's an interesting time to be. So these folks who are aware of what's going on are aware of the results. They're aware of the tallies. I don't know if they're aware of the effort and the what gets us to those tallies. So I'm not sure if they're calling gun control over prematurely or not. And you know, how is the other side even interpreting this? We have a massive blind spot. Unless I'm missing it and there's somebody out there evaluating that. Is anyone out there evaluating what the antis are perceiving all this stuff? Anyway, so let's go on to the next one. You see these little lines right here? That's the next subject. I just didn't put subject headers. So that was the radio shows. You also had Amanda Suffolk and her brother, but they had a remote show without Paul there, and it wasn't the best show. I mean, they had a good show. They talked with a couple of people, but I didn't post that one. And I guess that would be all four of them. So anyway, you get to the next one, and that would be the military interviews. So each week I listen to 2 channels for sure, and then when the other channels post, I listen to them also. So somewhere between 2 and 5, 6, maybe 7, depending on how you want to call military police channels. There's some interesting stuff. I don't know, you're a fan of military surplus, right? Have you ever been to a military surplus store? Is it something you're interested in? Well, experiences of those who are enlisted and their conversations after enlistment are military surplus. What they learned and what they experienced on our dime and what they relate after their enlistment is no different than the tent or the Jeep or the ammunition that they were using that they're done with being sold as surplus. There's no difference between that and their stories, their experiences. So we're finding we got another element to this whole thing, mental health awareness. Remember that? Remember how we start this whole thing off with mental health awareness and the normalization of mental health? We're finding that it's therapeutic for guys and gals who are dealing with their own stress and their own life changes, dramatic, big life changes, to not for everybody, but for a lot of people to verbalize that, to talk about that. And it's also beneficial for others to hear about other people's situations. So these interview shows are not just military surplus, getting a detailed and personal description of the experience of these individuals in combat or in military service and in the whole, their whole situation of being involved in the military. But it's also therapeutic. It's also for them useful, and then for their comrades or those who are in similar circumstances, useful for them to hear the situations that others are going through. I can tell you from my personal experience back in the day, if you didn't know somebody who was smart enough to talk about stuff and to de-stress mentally through verbal or some kind of alternative way than just drinking, you had drinking. And the only experience we had was from folks before us, were Korea and Nam, and or Nam and Korea, I guess. And that's drinking. That was, here's your therapist. It's whatever your taste of choice is, drink it. And that's not the best situation. And we know that now after years. And what we're seeing is, instead of a bunch of people going to the VFW and isolating themselves and drinking it away, and slowly, you've seen Rambo. What's Rambo about? Being the last dude in his unit, everybody isolated, dealing with what they went through as individuals instead of understanding that they still have that ability to work together. What we're seeing with these military interview shows is, again, with this internet being the get together, the third place, as it's sometimes referred to, being a place where we get together, the tavern, the gun shop, the store, the whatever it is that we used to be in the town. We now can choose the place to get together, and we can get together for the reason we need to. These veterans, these folks who understand the plight or who are interested in this, in understanding it, who experience these interview shows. Again, there's the surplus end of it, and then there's the therapy side of it. These are powerful, powerful shows. It's super cool. Then there's a third element, and that's understanding your government. If you've never delved in with both feet, it's tough to explain. But, if those who have gone into the military, it's a little bit different because you sign your life away and you know that it's a dangerous thing. But there's tons of people. Think of the people in the post office, or, I don't know, the Forest Service or something, or the highway department, or working for a county or a state level something out there. Those folks have an attachment with the infrastructure that they don't just necessarily talk about. They talk about it with each other all the time. I'm sure their immediate friends and family know about the infrastructure or the bureaucracy, but 2 steps away, nobody's talking about their job. So these interview shows are an insight to the bureaucracy and what it's like to work with the bureaucracy. And you definitely don't need to be in the military to understand this stuff, but to have been immersed in the bureaucracy is to understand and not idolize the bureaucracy. People whose only experience with the bureaucracy is to be given the benefits of other people's labor, they love the bureaucracy. They think that the state and the bureaucracy is beneficial and benevolent and super nice, and it's got a candy lollipop at the end. It's awesome. Those who lived in it and understand how it grinds the people who ain't paying attention into nothing, and it just can randomly or inadvertently or accidentally or non-discriminately just wipe out chunks of it and just keeps moving. Like, that part gets pretty scary and pretty real, and people that have dealt with it have a knowledge of it in a aware, what's the word, like an insightful, I don't want to say like fear of it, but when you're aware of what it can do, you're not going to be so ready to assume it can do everything. Anyway, I think these interviews give you some technical insight that's interesting. They offer some therapy, which is amazing to be part of and to understand what's happening as you see it. And then, like I say, some insight to the bureaucracy that a lot of people just don't luckily, a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to experience. And it doesn't have to be military. It can be any type of, just being a government employee. You understand government at a whole nother level when you go to deal with it every day. And it can be at any level. I'm not trying to say it's a military thing, but these military interviews are way more interesting to listen to for me than maybe a bunch of people who worked for the Treasury Department talking about the task sheets or something that they would talk about. So it's a way to hear about the bureaucracy and the people's being crushed by it or floating above it because they weren't dealt with it. There's people that have much success in the bureaucracy simply because they don't deal with it. They just think of it as a rising tide and they just float and they don't get bogged down in it. And it's interesting to listen to people who had ultimate success in it too. They don't have an unrealistic love of it. They have an aware respect for it. I mean, that's what I was thinking of. It's not a fear, it's just a respect for it. And once you understand it, you can have respect for what it can do and understanding of what it can't do. And you don't have unrealistic expectations of what it should be able to do. And that's one of the other things we're dealing with as gun owners in the big picture too. People that think the government can just fix everything for us. So speaking of that, I think I actually talked about, did I talk about this one last week? It's hard to say because this show comes on Saturdays and I might be a week behind. I feel like I'm a week behind, but Combat Story is an Apache helicopter pilot who then went into the CIA. And when he retired from his second career in the CIA, started doing this podcast. So this is the first time that the Apache helicopter pilot had another Apache helicopter pilot on. So it was an interesting conversation for sure. And they had different jobs, but they both flew the same helicopter. So fun conversation to be listening to. Team House is a great podcast. It's a Ranger and a Green Beret that interview people from all different kinds of backgrounds and stuff. So they interviewed somebody who's, I don't know if he's in a video game or if he is in a movie about a video game, because I don't know, but some guy who's an actor in Call of Duty, and then the movie Sniper. So it's not the Sniper movie we know, it's the other Sniper movie that's newer, and then either a video game or a movie about a video game. Anyway, just interesting to listen to dudes who been there and done that be interested in an actor who is acting about people who have been there and done that, but the actor's never been anywhere and done anything. So watching who respects and who is appreciative of who, it was just a big appreciation circle there. So it's interesting. There's another link to me and Clover and Tony's show. On Saturdays we get together and answer gun questions. This week I rediscovered these welcome mats from the Dollar Tree. So not the Dollar General and not the Family Dollar, but the Dollar Tree store has these $1.25. It should be called the $1.25 tree store now. But anyway, the Dollar Tree has these welcome mats that are ideal for patch panels. I got the idea from Patriot in the Dark, who told me about them a long time ago, and I bought one, and I was using it, but it was the size it was, and for whatever reason, I was like, yeah, well, whatever. And then I started buying the carpet from Georgia and making different shape patch panels in that carpet, which is a little bit softer, the carpet, and the carpet can fold up and can kind of be rolled up and things a lot easier. For whatever reason, I decided to start using that carpet instead of these patch panels. Well, the carpet is what it is, and it's made in the USA, and it's nice, but it holds the patches very, very, very well. Like, it is actually kind of an effort to get the patches back off of the carpet because it's such a great loop for the Velcro. So these, you can kind of tell from this picture maybe, but there's ribs or there's ridges in this material. It's a puffy material that they squish with some kind of waffle maker looking thing. So it creates crop lines, same way that it looks like when you look at a row of corn from the air or whatever. It creates these ridges of loop and then these troughs of nothing. So essentially your patch is only on there with these ridges instead of the whole thing. So it makes it way easier to remove a patch or to take a patch off and put it back down, or to move it around, or just take it off the panel and put it back. They hold really well, but they let go just as well. So they're actually about the best material out there for a patch panel, and they cost $1.25. So 10 of them cost you $12. 10 of them is essentially like a giant wall. I can't imagine too many people that need more than 10. I needed about 10 for my giant patch collection, and now I bought another pile to put all my Free Patch Friday stuff on, and then I bought another pile to do some other projects with just loose patches and extras and stuff. So, and like I did, I made with my collection, I took it all out of the baggies and stuff, and I had them all in a giant backpack essentially. I took them out of there and put them on these panels, and I mixed yellow and orange into one panel because I didn't think I had enough of either color to have a whole panel, and I didn't have that many panels. So I bought some more panels, and I'm going to divide up like my yellow and my orange into separate panels and let them not be full, but have room to grow. So I'm going to do stuff like that. And for $1.25, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, sure, I'll just buy another panel and divide the yellow and oranges, right? So anyway, I think they're a really cool way. And they might not work for everybody, but I'm thinking with a combination with some grommets that you get at like the Home Depot or someplace, pop some grommets in there so you can hang them to either hooks or tacks or something, depending on what kind of wall or whatever you might be putting it on. I think that this is a really neat way to have like a modular patch display. Anyway, I posted a couple of videos as I was sorting, and a couple of videos just blabbing about how great these things are. Let me know what you think. Thanks to Patriot for the suggestion, and we go live on Sundays and talk about patches. So I'm sure we'll be talking about them in a whole different way, because now I can actually have my patch collection sitting next to me instead of in a bunch of baggies and just knowing, oh, I probably have this one patch, but I can't show you it because it would take me half an hour to find it. Now I can just flip right over to the patch panel, bring it out into the camera. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's what we've been up to. There was a lot of other stuff that went on this week, and we just didn't have a chance to put it into the show. So thanks for joining us for this recap. We'll usually take some time throughout the week, sometimes on Tuesdays, but not always. And we do something, this was mostly YouTube centric. It was almost everything this week was from YouTube. We'll usually go through on like Tuesdays and do the same kind of thing over on Instagram, and just use other people's posts on Instagram as a kind of an insight or a reflection on what's been happening with 2A for the week. Let's see, we have a couple of things going on for everybody who might be listening to this live. If you're listening to this in the future, this is not going to apply to you probably, but tomorrow is Saturday in real life. Got an update on the puppy. He is stretching. He's giving me the stink eye. He doesn't like me giving updates on a situation like this. So tomorrow is, I think Travis is going live probably, but tomorrow is the 2A rally here in Arizona. So Tony Simon and 22 other people are scheduled to speak. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we got that going on in San Diego. They've got some tabletops happening. So if you're in Southern California, keep an eye out, or else check out where those tabletops, those volunteer sessions where members of the organization go out and man tables in the community to get the word out and answer questions about the different Second Amendment stuff that they might be dealing with in California, CCW stuff, assault weapons ban stuff, and then just real questions like, where's the best place to buy a holster? Like, what's the best kind of gun to buy? The real questions that people have once they're actually participating in their rights. During the day, you've got Brooke Cheney will do a focus on suicide prevention and mental health awareness. We talked about that earlier. That happens live every Saturday. I don't know if G23 is back in business with his live shows yet. He's dealing with some health situations. He's got a GoFundMe actually to help raise funds for his travel. He's driving back and forth 3 times a week to have his 2 tubes re-blasted. I'm pretty sure it's called blasting his tubes. And even though it sounds like a lot of fun, I believe it's probably not all that fun. So if you're interested, again, in saying thanks to somebody who's kept a community going every Saturday afternoon for a few years now, G23 has a crowdfunding project to raise some funds for gas for his medical situation that he's going through. Foss will not have a live show tomorrow, so I can't offer that one. And I don't think we'll be doing an Ask Gun Questions tomorrow. I don't want to blame Clover because Tony's in Phoenix and there's a Second Amendment rally happening in Arizona. So it's really not Clover's fault that we're not doing an Ask Gun Questions tomorrow. But I'm just saying, we're not doing an Ask Gun Questions tomorrow. And you can blame who you want for that. Hillbilly Up says my 500 sub giveaway is tomorrow during his show. So if you're available, he does a show in the evenings on Saturdays. Guns. Okay, I can't remember what it's called, but he has lighthearted conversation focused on guns and bring people together on Saturdays. We're going to wrap this one up. Thanks, DJ, for dropping links, not just on our show, but on other people's show as well. Do appreciate it. And you're dropping a link to our Indiegogo project. We'll say thanks again to the people who have participated. We're up to 16%. We need another 120 people or so. And not only do we get a robot, but we will keep the future robot free. Puppy's getting up, doing a quick little circle. He's now decided he's going to go back to sleep. We're going to throw one more commercial out here for the robot and then for the store. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
At Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
I just saw that Hillbilly asked for a link to the robot fundraiser. Let me throw something up on the screen for you here. So there's something pretty neat you can do with Indiegogo, the project or the place that we're using to do the crowdfunding. And you can go into the dashboard here, and you can create a code for an individual so that when they refer you over, they get you get a what do you call this thing? What do you call these? Analytics. You get some analytics to see where the funding may come from. So it looks like Smeggy had used a link and posted it out there, and somebody came in from two people visited Smeggy's link. One of the persons that came in through Smeggy's link, and that brought in $25. So what I can do is I just got to figure out where I make those, but somewhere in here, I thought it was in the dashboard. I haven't done one in a couple of minutes, so I have to go back, figure out where it is. But I can create a specific link for like Hillbilly or for DJ or for whoever. And then when you use that link, it shows up in the analytics. So on a project, that has 10 people promoting it, you get a analytic, you get some metrics, you get some numbers on your side of the dashboard that tell you this person sent this many people and 100 people saw it, and this person sent this many people and 50 people saw it. And it gives you the chance to give feedback to those people that were helping you out. And that can be super powerful. Like I say, these campaigns, they raise funds. That's part of it, right? But they also bring communities together, and they show people that, 150 people putting $50 in make $7,000. A lot of people don't think about that side of it. What could well, for us, $7,000 will buy us a robot. It'll get us over and get the robot, right? Pick it up and deliver it essentially, and then some training. So like for us, it's a pretty decent return on the investment. But what could somebody like Tony Simon do with $7,000? Would that let him bring it to New York State? Would that let him bring it to Massachusetts? The diversity shoot? What could KD do with $7,000? Would that build another building on the Greenwood project? What would, or maybe something at Train and Learn, right? Like, so thinking about the community, what it empowers the community to know that when we all drop a couple of bucks, we do it all the time. When somebody needs something, like we just talked about with G23 needing to raise some funds for gas, people drop a couple of bucks to friends all the time. It's something that we do as capitalists and people that are compassionate or whatever. Once we understand that that's a tool that we can use to combat the Bloombergs, the individuals who are just throwing their money at their private agendas, right? And using, exploiting essentially people who need money and are looking for some attention, the exploiting the victims and the survivors. What are we going to do? We don't want a millionaire on our side, a billionaire on our side that we have to depend on, or that we have to be worried that they stay interested in our plight. No, we want empowered individuals who understand what tools we have available to us to change and influence, right? To create awareness and to educate. So we do these projects for our interests and for our, piece of the internet over here, but we're also opening it up for folks who want to learn how these tools work. 37 projects, we've raised over $80,000 on those projects. If you want to learn how this kind of stuff works, this is a tool on the internet that can be powerful. As individuals, let's understand how useful we are and how valuable our voices are. But on the other end, if you're doing Second Amendment stuff, there's people out there that want to help you, and there's ways that you can facilitate that. Value your voice. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great weekend. And I already threw my end stuff out there, but thanks, Hillbilly Up. I'm glad to see that you got the link working. But again, if you'd like an individual link, I'll be happy to set one up. And then I can tell you at the end of the project how many people saw your link and how many people came through. Sometimes it's just interesting. Sometimes it's inspiring. And sometimes it's like a challenge. Like, oh, really? Well, maybe next time, give me a link and I'll try to get more. Like it's a way for you to understand where you're at with your project as well. So if we can help with that, let us know.